Get ready to have a blast on Corey's Cast, where we talk about everything related to rehabilitation and recovery, from injuries and treatments to the unique journeys in the pursuit of an optimal life. I am your host, Corey Rasmussen. All right, today I have a very special guest. I'm honored to have Pocatello's Police Chief Roger Schei here today on the show. We got lots to talk about. He lives such an exciting life and an inspiration and can be a great mentor for all of us. But today we're going to talk a little bit about his occupation and his leadership development. But, you know, with Corey's Cast, we like to bring on guests that have gone through an injury, talk about the rehabilitation process, some of the barriers they overcome, and some of the things they learned going through the process. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so people who don't know you very well, why don't you give us a little bit of background? What drew you into law enforcement? It seems like as a boy, we all want to be a cop, and then eventually that kind of fades away. But obviously not for you. What continued to give you that drive to enter into law enforcement?
Yeah, my wife may still say I'm a boy. So,
right on.
Like you said, my name is Roger Schei. I'm the Chief of Police for the Pocatello Police Department. I've been in that role for almost 7 years. I've been in law enforcement for 35 years.
Nice.
I've served in my department for the city of Pocatello for almost 31 and a half years now. So
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, it's, I've served at every level. I've served in all the divisions as a line staff and supervisor. So it's helped give me a really well-rounded knowledge. I started off my career in 1991 with the San Diego County Sheriff's Department. And then moved up here in 93, worked in the jail, the old jail, for a year. And I got to learn a lot of good things as my foundation in those times. You know, I've always been interested in law enforcement. I've always had a need to feel like I need to serve, and I firmly believe that now. The older I get, if you want to lead, you need to serve, whether that's as a first responder in the military or serving your church, and I'll kind of get into that in the different capacities when we talk about some leadership stuff. No day's ever the same.
Yeah,
I like the variety.
Right.
I always have. And it's an exciting job. You're on you got a front seat on the roller coaster ride of life. And
sure.
And some things are funny, some things are sad. Some things are hard to deal with.
Yeah.
Some things are very fulfilling at the end of the day when you help somebody out.
Yeah. Yeah, such a fulfilling job. I'm glad you brought that up. But also the variability, you know, and as you talked about your background there, I think there's no better resume than that experience of all the different roles moving through the chain. It's kind of like a contractor who maybe has not ever done any sheetrocking and stuff like that, but as they do all these different roles, they're better able to lead people. Yeah. And so you've got that foundation because you've lived it, you've walked it, you've done it. And then, like you said, just such a cool experience to go to a job where it's not mundane and you really get to make a big difference.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so let's talk a little bit, since we've chatted a little bit about that background. We'll just keep going with that. You've done a lot of leadership development, and at a high level. You're not just reading the self-help books and jumping on YouTube videos. Let's talk about some of your background and what has really made you stand, I would say, head and shoulders above most people in authority with your leadership development.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. I started off teaching some leadership classes with a company called Cindy Mallman Associates going out to Utah. And when I got promoted to captain, I'm hit the wave tops here. I went to the FBI National Academy in 2014, class number 257, and about 0.5% of law enforcement gets to go to the FBI National Academy, and it was a great experience to go there in Quantico for 10 weeks.
Yeah.
And rub shoulders with some really great people and get to learn from the best. And as I got promoted to chief, the department was looking for some type of like standard operating procedures for leadership. And I stumbled across the Echelon Front platform.
Okay.
And so for those that don't know what Echelon Front is, it's a company that's run by a couple of retired Navy SEALs Jocko Willink, who's the CEO, and Leif Babin, who is the president. And both of those guys served in the SEALs. They served in Ramadi under what's called Task Unit Bruiser. And what a task unit is 2 platoons of SEALs, about 34 to 37. And combined, they have 2 platoons, and Leif was over Charlie platoon, and Jocko was the task unit commander. And when they came back, they're like, man, we learned so many lessons from war. And war is like the ultimate petri dish for things, ramped up at like berserker level 10.
Yeah.
So if it works in under those set of circumstances,
Right.
They believe that the lessons that they learned there would apply to leadership across the board, whether it's an oil company or a construction company, an auto company, a fire department, a police department. The leadership lessons that they learned in Ramadi when they were deployed there worked. And so they wrote them down, and originally known as the Jocko Brief, and it became like the Laws of Combat, and it became the Mindsets for Victory, and they came and wrote some books. They wrote in 2015, they wrote a book called Extreme Ownership.
Yeah. And
so I picked that up, and I am not a reader. I do not like reading books. But
I
read that book. I tabbed it up.
Time.
I marked it up. And then in 2018, they came out with its companion book, the sister book called Dichotomy of Leadership. Mm-hmm. And the reason they wrote that is because people wrote Extreme Ownership, and they took everything to the extreme.
Mm.
And they were like, wait a minute, we gotta dial this back in. There's a spectrum, right? There's a balance for things, and where on that spectrum, where on that dichotomy are things going to lie? There's a balance for things. So I started getting way into that, and started to I got on their platform, and we have implemented a lot of their principles into our department. We've baked them into our promotional assessment center. We've put them into our what we do on a daily basis, and it aligns with our mission of building relationships with our community. So that's why I'm very bought into it, because it's things that I believe in personally, things that I believe in professionally, and it's the foundation of their leadership principles are about building relationships with people and bettering that, and teamwork.
Yeah. So
when you look at that, you go, okay, well, that aligns with what we believe in. So I started following that. I started doing that, and I think that if you're going to be a good leader, you need to continually be a student.
Right.
And you need to remain humble so that you're constantly learning new things.
Yeah. And you've taken it to the next level, because I've read those books, great books. I think I need to go back to the dichotomy one, because I got so much out of the ownership one. I don't remember as much about that one, but and then there's some other books I want to talk about too. But you've taken it to the next level. You just haven't been a steward of the books and reading and highlighting. You've taken it to the next level that most of us will never do. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So when you're talking about the next level, what are you?
Yeah, so you've actually gone to these guys in person and done workshops, and now you're even part of the team. Can we talk about that? No.
So I'm not part of the team yet. I'm working on it. It's I've attended a bunch of live events. They have been up here, and a lot of it's been a good relationship, because they've come up here. We've done some training with them. They've done some training with us, and my members of my department have got to see several members of the EF team live. And in fact, I've got 4 going next week to an event in Boise, based off a relationship from a construction guy that I know there says, hey, you want to join in with us?
Yeah. And
I said, yeah, send 4 over there.
Sweet.
So I have consulted with them on several projects for law enforcement. A lot of agencies will call me. They'll refer a lot of agencies to me about how have you implemented this in law enforcement, because we're a unique profession, and when you look at how do you implement this and get the buy-in from your troops,
sure,
And not only that, but then they see laws of combat and people will freak out. They're like, well, we're not at combat. I'm like,
Sure.
I get it. We're not at combat.
Yeah.
If I'm at combat with anybody, I'm at combat with myself.
Yeah.
I'm at combat with complacency,
Mm-hmm.
with the struggle of life, right? Like all of us are. And whatever word you want to use, whether you want to use laws of combat, leadership principles, rules for life, whatever you want to use to plug it in there. And I don't get so wrapped around the axle on a word.
Yeah, well, that's why it can be extrapolated. I've used their principles in physical therapy, and and just like you said, the construction guy, like it's just good principles of leadership.
And I'm blessed to have a good relationship with the team and with the cadre, and I would love to get this information out to all of law enforcement. Because I did a podcast with Leif called "This Stuff Works," because this stuff works. It does when you apply it. But you just can't read the books. You just can't run your mouth.
Yeah.
You gotta live those standards. And if you don't, and you're the leader, they're gonna read through you like
a pretender.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. So, you covered a lot of stuff. Just going over some of the leadership principles that you've used and continue to help you overcome barriers. We're gonna shift. I do want to get into the injury part here, because some of those same principles, as well as just the person that you are, helped you overcome this. And so, a little more background. So, talk to us a little bit about your insane active level. Let's even talk about prior to injury, because people that don't know that you're pretty extreme in your fitness, and you take that seriously, and you challenge yourself, and you push yourself, and you work out with ISU football, and you continue to forget that you're aging, and you continue to push your body to the next limit. So talk to us a little bit about your active lifestyle and the things that you enjoy.
Yeah, so I got a problem. I got like a problem.
Yeah, that's what we're talking.
Well, we got a problem working out, right? My wife always like, you have issues. I know I got some issues. I started my journey of really working out when I was in high school, and when I moved up here, I was always wanted to be in shape. I got the Possible Club for Fitness when I went to the police academy. I was one of very few people from the Pocatello Police Department that reached that level. I've always pushed myself to be, the best I can be.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the way I was brought up or just some inner drive that I've got. Probably a combination of a lot of things. And I started bodybuilding in 1998. Steve Williams, who died in a boat crash in 2005, was one of my mentors. And he got me into bodybuilding, and I started to travel the Northwest with him doing competitions, and was pretty successful. I won my pro card in 2012 as a natural competitor.
Yeah.
And went up against some pretty big names and stuff, and held my own. And so I always worked out hard. Then I started getting into some CrossFit stuff, mixing it with old school bodybuilding, and then I started working out with some of the ISU football players. Cody Sorensen and I, back in the day, started to work out together early mornings, and that kind of bled over into the team doing some crazy workouts, and keeping up with those guys, those young bucks, has kept me young. And recently I was up at the ISU weight room, and I challenged him to pull-ups. And Coach Pitt, old school, he's an old school weight coach, and he might have said some things to them that I can't repeat on this podcast that said, hey, the chief just challenged you guys to some pull-ups. And so they got after it. And one guy got 23.
Nice.
And so it was my turn, and I got to 20, and they were taunting me. Going, Chief's getting tired. So I stop at 20 in a dead hang position, and I look over at him, and I'm like, no, I'm not. and I got to 23, and when I got to 23, some things shifted, and instead of them talking trash, trying to get me to stop, they started cheering me on.
Yeah.
And I got to 31
Yeah.
that day.
Solid.
And then of course they all like are, they're surrounding me and pushing me around and stuff like that, and like jacked up that I got 31, and
right.
And that builds, it goes back to the core principle of building a relationship, and that's how I build relationships with these young men, is working out with them, having them in my house for Easter dinner, and doing some insane workouts to show them that this old dude, who I'll be 54 this year, can still do some nutty workouts.
That's right.
And they're like, well, if he can do it, then I can do it.
Sure.
And I believe it's age is just a number.
Right. Totally agree.
And it's something that I look at it and just go, I can do that. And I get to when you get to like round 2 of a crazy workout, or you're doing these nutty supersets, you look at it and go, I can get to the end.
Yeah.
I can get to the end.
It's just another challenge you can beat, right?
Yep.
I continue to love that mentality of just testing yourself and continue to rise above it.
Yeah. So can I circle back? I want to
sure.
So we can
casual. Let's talk about whatever.
We can splice this.
Oh yeah.
Here.
We can do that too.
So I want to talk about like some of my core beliefs, and
sure.
We talk about leadership, we talk about our things, but without that, some of the core beliefs, and the core beliefs of Echelon Front, like we were talking about, is that.
Let me tee it up. Hold on. Let's start over.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so you've gone through some of this training with the Echelon Front group, and which, because you mentioned, aligned with your own personal core beliefs. How has that then helped, I guess, foster those core values and those core beliefs, and how have you implemented those across the board in life and at your occupation?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the core beliefs of Echelon Front align with my core beliefs, and I believe that everybody's a leader at every level. Whether you're line staff, whether you're a corporal, a sergeant, a lieutenant, or the chief. And a lot of people will ask, well, where's the tip of the spear? Well, I think the tip of the spear is, where's the problem coming from? That's the tip of the spear. Yeah. And those are the people, I let the line staff solve problems. But think about this with your family too. Maybe your kids have a good solution to a problem. Do we let them lead? A lot of times, no. It's like, shut up and color.
Yeah.
And so we got leadership at every level. Yeah. And then when you look at that, how you're leading at every level, well, how does that work with the things that you're doing in your life? And the things that you're doing in your life at every capacity. And we talked about work, what's your circle of influence at work? What about in the community? We're always doing stuff in the community. I'm always doing stuff with Idaho State. I volunteered at CASA, Court Appointed Special Advocates for Children, for several years. There's all kinds of things we can do as individuals to serve in our community, whether that's volunteering with your church, coaching a team, getting involved with the school district or the university or some nonprofit organization. But the one person you can always lead, do you know who that is?
Yourself.
One person, yourself.
Yeah.
100% is yourself. You lead yourself, and whether that's through an injury, like we're going to talk about, or whether that's through something nutty at work or with your family. But the last capacity in that, I believe, is the most important, is your family, leading your family. Mm-hmm. Whether you're a husband, a wife, you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, you have kids, you have elderly parents like I do. How do you lead your family? And I think in every capacity ties in with every level. But when you look at every problem that you're dealing with in your life, and this is the way I looked at my leg on my injury, is that every problem that you have is a leadership problem. And leadership is the solution. How do I lead myself through this injury? How do I lead my department while I'm injured? Mm-hmm. I let others lead through decentralized command. Mm. So every problem that you have is a leadership problem, and leadership 100% is the solution. And I wasn't born with that stuff. I learned it. It's a skill. Mm-hmm. It's 100% skill. And as you go through life, like everything, you learn things, right? Mm-hmm. You learn it, you practice it, and then you assess it. It's this loop that we go through.
Yeah.
And every time you come out of that loop, I don't look at it like, hey, I failed at this. It's like, ooh, I learned how not to do that, right?
Yeah.
I could do it a different way. And if you looked at like 19-year-old me versus chief me, right? 19-year-old me as a deputy explorer in San Diego County versus me as a chief of police having to navigate a department of 147 people and a city of 60 plus thousand. I wouldn't have the skills at 19-year-old me.
Yeah.
I was just looking to get to the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do I lead myself to the end of the day?
Right.
Versus now, how do I lead? And because it's 100% a skill. So those are the core beliefs, and I firmly believe that if you live those core beliefs or plug those core beliefs, it'll make you a better individual and a better human being.
For sure, absolutely. And there's so many aspects to leadership. That's what makes it so difficult.
Yeah.
So many things that you and lead. Some leaders excel in certain areas and fail at others, and so it's so hard to continue. But like you said, you got to continue to assess and reassess and develop those skills, so that ultimately that leadership's umbrella is better overall. Excellent, thanks. All right, so let's now talk about the injury. So take me back. I forget dates and what now, but we had a horrendous snowboarding accident. One of the more severe breaks that I have seen as far as in my 20 years of physical therapy. And so let's go through that a little bit. Walk us through that day.
March the 18th, 2023.
Yeah, I'm sure you won't forget it.
I was up at Pebble Creek, right? Local hill here.
Yeah.
And for those that know Pebble Creek, it's a pretty steep hill.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty challenging hill. I had gotten way back into snowboarding. And I got Van Halen dreams in the earbuds.
Yeah.
And I'm cruising down the hill. And I'm on a run called Max Out, and it's one where you got to get some speed to go to the cat track.
Okay.
So I was cruising at a pretty good clip, and I'm like, and it was the first groom day of the year, because it had been like Snowmageddon that year, and there was tons of powder.
Yeah.
So everybody been snowboarding, skiing on powder, and it was like, okay, I can get some speed now. So I'm moving along at a pretty good clip, and I'm on my toe side, and I go to transition to my heel side on my snowboard, and I caught a chunk of snow, and I went backwards, butt over tea kettle about 7-8 times, and it just kept down the hill. It was,
man.
And I'm like, this is not good.
You're lucky you didn't break your neck.
I
didn't realize you went backwards.
Yeah, I was going backwards, and the God bless the kids from Century High. I was teaching them some leadership stuff, and they asked me if I wore a helmet, and I'm like, I don't wear a helmet. I'm from the 80s.
Yeah, right.
I grew up on hose water and neglect, right?
Yeah.
And so they convinced me to buy a helmet. And my wife says to me, I've been trying to get you to wear a helmet for years.
Yeah.
And so, but I have this, saying, if I want to influence people, I need to let them influence me.
There you go.
Probably should have listened to my wife.
Yeah.
All those years ago. So I bought a helmet. I was wearing a helmet, luckily, because my head thumped pretty hard.
Yeah.
And I come to a rest, and my right leg is not pointed in the right direction. And I'm like, this is not good. I said some things I can't repeat right now. And then my right leg, or my left leg was hurting. I thought I broke both legs.
Yeah.
And so Mike Dixon was right behind me. He runs the hill, and his dad was a sergeant that I worked for him back in the day, so I know Mike, and Mike comes up, he's like, Chief, are you okay? I'm like, hell no, I'm not okay, bro. My leg's broke. He goes, we don't know that your leg's broke. I'm like, no, it's broke.
Yeah.
So I call my wife, and I'm like, hey, I need you to come to pick me up at the hill. I'm taking a toboggan ride down. I think I broke my leg. So the ski patrol was like right behind me. Those guys, kudos to the ski patrol at Pebble Creek, man. They rocked it that day.
Yeah.
Load me up in the toboggan, they get me down, and somehow they got my boot off.
Mm-hmm.
And they cardboard me up, and my wife meets me up there, and one of my captains was up there, Tim Dillon, and they helped load me into my wife's SUV, our SUV, and take me to Portneuf. And one of the doctors looked at it, and she did not have she was like, I'm gonna have to cut off your foot. And I'm like, you ain't cutting my foot off.
Yeah.
Like, fix me.
Yeah.
Like, let's go, fix me.
Right.
And I was on the governor's task force for fentanyl and other dangerous drugs.
That's
I'm like,
right.
I'm like, don't give me fentanyl. She's like, oh, we're giving you fentanyl. And I'm God bless modern medicine. So I wake up the next day, and I have an external fixator on. And
so for those of you who don't know, that's kind of like a cage around the leg to try to keep the pieces in place.
yeah. And it was. I looked at the X-ray, and it was horrible.
Yeah.
And then they sent me home, and I could barely put weight. And so to kind of roll back to my obsession of working out and staying in shape and working out with the ISU football team and keeping me young, I'm grateful for that. I was like doing dips on my walker because I could barely put any weight on my other foot.
Yeah.
And thank God that one wasn't broken.
Right.
It was it was just sprained.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at home, and I couldn't sleep. I'm in my recliner. I got 4 levels in my house, so lots of steps. And about 5 in the morning, my leg just starts blowing up, and it's hurting. It's like a level 10 out of 10. And I called my wife, and I said, I got to go back to the hospital.
Yeah.
So they take me back to the hospital. I'm back in the ER, and I'm in so much pain. I don't wish this pain on anybody.
Now this is like 24 hours. How far after the surgery is this?
Yeah, like probably like, this is on the 20th. So I stayed the night in the hospital on the 18th, and they released me on the 19th. So this is the morning of the 20th. And they go up there. I'm at the ER, and they hit me with some Dilaudid. And I'm like, oh, okay, now my heart rate comes down. And at this point, I'm like at a 12 out of 10 on my pain. So they hit me with some Dilaudid. It brings my pain level down. It brings my blood pressure was way high. My heart rate was way high. My core temperature was way up. And it was all as a direct effect of the pain.
Yeah.
So they gave me some Dilaudid, and my surgeon who put me back together, Kevin O'Halloran, is a wizard, man. That guy. Shout out to Kevin O'Halloran.
We're so
man.
blessed to have him in the area.
That guy's a rock star. And so they wheel me down, and he's like, these are the options. And I look at him, and I'm doped up a little bit, so on the Dilaudid, and he's like, these are the options. And I look at him, and I said, if this was you, what would you do?
Right.
And he goes, I would do this. And I think I said something like, what the F are we waiting for?
Yeah, right.
I'm on Dilaudid.
Yeah.
And he's like, I like it, let's go.
Brings down the filters.
Yep. And so I get in there, and I'm out. I mean, they do their stuff, they put me out, I wake up, and I was in the hospital for about a week. And I remember, I think it was that time, or it might have been the first time, I called Leif Babin from Echelon. And I'm like, bro, I'm in a bad way. And he talked to me about an injury that he had in high school playing football. And he's like, Chief, you're gonna get better.
Yeah.
You're gonna get better. We got you. And I remember watching the Jocko Good video. So those of you that haven't seen the Jocko Good video, that's what got me on my journey. Watch it. It's game changing for you. It's very inspirational, and I just kept watching that. Like, broke my leg, good, okay. Find new ways to do things. And Leif and some of the guys from the team were up here doing some live training with us when it happened, and I was supposed to be an integral part of the training, and I couldn't. So Cody Gandy came to visit me in the hospital, and him and Danny Ziem were up here, and those guys came and saw me and visited with me, and just walking, shaking their head. And I mean, when people would see my X-ray, they have a look on their face. And so I get sent home after that on the path.
1 second, just you brought that X-ray. Yeah, so you called me.
Oh, I did call you.
I don't
yes,
know
I
that
did
night.
call you.
I don't know if you're on Dilaudid or whatever at the time too, but you're like, these are my X-rays, and I'm in the tractor because, like you said, it was a snowy year, and I'm blowing snow, and it's late. And I see these X-rays, and that face, you're like, oh man, we got our work cut out for us. And because even though it's put together, there's gaps and breaks, and it's like, oh my goodness. And yeah, you were just that way. You were like, when can we get started? As soon as I get out of here, we're getting after this. I'm getting back snowboarding.
You were one of my first phone calls. I forgot to mention that. It was Leif and then you, and I'm like, Corey, I need you to help fix me.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, bro. As soon as you're out, man. Yeah. So those were my family. Was around me, which was great. But I mean, I knew what I needed. I knew who I needed to help get me fixed.
Right.
And mentally, really, Leif and those guys helped out. My family, I can't thank them enough for their support. My wife, I couldn't have done it without my wife and my daughter. They were instrumental, and I mean, they were there for me emotionally and mentally and spiritually and physically.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole gambit. But there was other components that came in, like Leif and you, and so I was in the hospital for like a week, and my pain was bad. Bad.
And at this point, they'd gone from external fixation to internal fixation. So cage is gone. Plate, screws.
Yep.
All the whole 9 yards there. Okay, so, but that wasn't like the end. It wasn't like, okay, 6 weeks later, I'm out, jogging. Like it was a battle. Yeah. And so we got you in here. We implemented all the fun toys and stuff like that. I'm a big proponent of blood flow restriction training, especially with breaks, because there is some good studies out there that show that it aids in bone healing, and it's a long road. It's because you weren't even weight bearing for a long time.
Yeah,
long time.
Yeah, 12 weeks, no weight at all.
Right, when your average break is like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So everything was doubled. Everything was like 10x.
Yeah.
We got you on the Alter G, the anti-gravity treadmill. We got some videos. We'll hopefully show some video clips here as we talk a little bit about the recovery process of just even trying to retrain that walking pattern and starting off at like 20%, which is like walking on the moon, and then progressing and the journey. But it was a struggle, and it wasn't getting. I mean, it was getting better, but not like it was supposed to get better.
Yeah.
So talk to us about some of these barriers and what were the other steps that had to be taken.
Yeah, so I was coming in here 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and the range of motion was starting to improve. I mean, I was getting little wins, and the bone was healing at the back, but it was like it just never felt like it's getting where it should be. And I was able to start walking on my own without crutches probably the end of July, without a crutch in August.
Yeah, but it didn't look good. It wasn't like good walking.
It was like, it was gimping.
Yeah,
I'm
gonna do this.
Yeah. and then in I want to say I was going back for my x-rays with Kevin, and he's like, it's not unioning at the bottom. And when you look at the x-ray, I'm sure it'll show it, there's a gap at the bottom. And the bone was not healing. So he's like, we're going to have to do another surgery. Number three. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, man. Okay, what's wrong? My body's not responding. Right. And he's saying it's because the break was so low. And he did plates because it was so low, he did not feel confident with putting a rod down it. And he said that's the preferred method. But I don't think I can get a screw in because it's so distal. Yeah. It's so low. And the blood flow at that level,
not great.
It's not great. It's like the last place. So his plan was go in, let's do a bone graft. Yeah. So we talked about taking it from my hip. We talked about taking it from my femur. And he's like, you know what? Your tibia on your right leg is already pissed off. So I'm just going to piss it off even more.
Okay.
So he took it from my upper tibial plateau, like up in that area. And so he took the bone out there. He did, I think, what's called PMP, and spun my own stem cells.
Yeah, right.
And he made like some paste and he packed in the gap.
Mm-hmm.
He cleaned it out because there was a bunch of like spongy tissue and stuff that was trying to be bone but
Right.
not going to be bone. So he cleaned it out, and then he put another plate and some more screws, and he put a plate in on the medial side.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was in the hospital for probably 2 days on that one.
Mm.
And then they released me, and that was October the 6th was that surgery. And it that one was a lot quicker to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So I put some weight on it. I was off probably 3-4 weeks.
Right. It was reinforced with the plates, and so you had a little more, yeah.
And some of the back, on the back, where the back had spiraled up the tibia, had healed from the work that we have done here.
Yeah.
So that helped with some stability of being able to put pressure on it.
Yeah.
And then I was, by the November, I travel with ISU's football team, so I made it a goal to be back by the Idaho game, and I was back by the Idaho game. I was standing on the sidelines.
Right, I remember that. Looking for you over there. Because you even used the bone simulator. I mean, you had your nutrition dialed in. I mean...
Yeah, I was talking to one of the doctors on the road at the Idaho game. I believe it was... I can't remember the doctor's name. But he recommended a bone stimulator.
Yeah.
And my doctor ordered one, and I got an Exogen bone stimulator, and I was using it. I was doing two sessions a day on it, and I was moving it around, and I believe that really helped. Because I remember talking to you about it, and you're like, yeah, if you can get one, get one.
Yeah.
And so I got one. I still have it, but I used it for about 120 days. And then I came back in here, I want to say, start doing physical therapy again. Was it in November or December?
I'd have to look.
Yeah, but I came back again.
It seemed like it, yeah. That it
And-
was like 7 months
Yeah.
after the first round.
Yeah, and then that's, I got going on all the different crazy things you had me doing on the balance board and touching the
Blaze pods,
touching the
doing all
pods, pushing the sled.
Right. Lots of stuff.
Yeah.
And then eventually a little bit of agility stuff and promoting a lot of, strengthening, which you like, which was really good because that's what's going to make that bone heal even stronger. And by this time, so much atrophy,
Yeah.
so much atrophy.
Blood pressure cuffs on
Blood pressure cuffs to try to get some of that hypertrophy back, as well as the bone healing that we'd mentioned.
Yeah.
What do you remember, I guess, both mentally and physically, were some of the biggest barriers going through this? And I'm sure there were days where it was like, I don't know if I'm going to get back to where I was.
Yeah, I know. I remember talking to you on the offset. It's like, hey, when can I go snowboarding again?
Yeah.
When can I do box jumps at man makers? And you're like,
Yeah, right.
You need to wait. The mental barrier was like my brain wanted to do things that my body couldn't do.
Right, yeah.
And that was mentally challenging. And really, what was also very mentally challenging was I felt worthless. I felt worthless at home. I felt worthless at work. I felt, it's like, I can't help the team out. I can't help my family out.
Yeah.
And like I said, kudos to my wife and one of my daughter Emma, who's living at home with us, who really stepped up and did all the things and filled in the gaps for me. I couldn't have done it without them. And that for me is like, no, those are my jobs to do.
Yeah.
And like I said, I felt worthless. And there was something that happened during that time where I actually found some value. And I mean, if this podcast goes a little long, it's because I'm going to digress here for a second.
Yeah, that's all right.
So there was this young man who had run away from his house. And his parents had reached out to me because they used to live in our neighborhood. And I knew them from church. And this young man was about at rock bottom. 15-year-old kid on his own, he got a backpack, and his parents found where he was at, and my wife and I were at lunch at El Heredero. I remember eating some tacos and saying, we found him, he's at this house. So we drove over there, I called patrol patrol responded, and we got there, and this mild-mannered mom had turned into like the Incredible Hulk. And because her baby, someone, was not giving her right information about her baby, and they had gone over to try to get him, and he kicked out a window to the bathroom and bailed. And all he had on was sweatpants and some shoes.
Yeah.
No shirt. So my wife and I start looking for him. And I'm in my boot. I'm not chasing anybody.
Yeah, right.
I'm not going anywhere fast. I'm on crutches. My legs throbbing as we're looking for him. And when I pull over to a convenience store, like, let's go check this one more spot. Let's go check this house again. And as we check this house, here he comes walking out the backyard. And I said, let me out of the car. So I get out of the car, and I'm on my crutches, and I call out his name. And I said, come here and give me a hug.
And so is this a neighbor? I mean, how would you have this connection?
So when the parents, this is my fault. I should have explained this a little bit better. The parents said he might be at this house, or this house, and they gave us addresses. Uh-huh. So we were checking the addresses where his parents said he might be. Mm-hmm. So we're like, let's go check this address one more time. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. So he's already a family friend then?
Yes.
I don't know if you said that.
Very, very close family friend. I knew him from church. I taught him in church. And very, very close to the family.
Okay.
And the family had reached out to us for some help.
Okay. So you call out his name.
I said, come over here. Now, this kid could have bolted. He's run from everybody. He's ran from his parents, his brothers, his sisters, the police.
Yeah.
And he knows I'm the chief of police. I mean, he knows who I am.
Yeah.
And because of the relationship that we have. And because of the relationship that I had with him and the trust that I built with him, he walks over to me, he gives me a hug, and he starts crying on my shoulder. And I'm like, I got you, bro. And I later told him, I said, I needed that hug, and for you to come to me as much as you needed me, I needed you.
Wow. Because
I felt worthless at that point. And because of that, that really lifted up my spirits. That lifted me up mentally. Mm-hmm. And we were able to reunite him with his family, and now he's thriving.
Yeah.
We got him to our youth leadership program at the police department.
Wow.
He got back into some things that really interested him. Mm-hmm. And because of that, because I was able to go out and do that, and that really boosted me up mentally and emotionally and spiritually.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because I felt some worth. So that's
a huge win.
And that was I'm like, okay, all right, I felt like I was worth something then. Mm-hmm. In a time where, I was struggling, and what a great team I had around at work too. So one of the laws of combat from Echelon is decentralized command, and that's letting your team lead. Mm-hmm. I had no other choice while I was hurt than to let my team lead, and how proud I was of them on how they didn't miss a beat. They knew what to do. They knew how to do it, and I was the Idaho Chiefs of Police Association president at the time, and my executive assistant Amy was helping me put together our conference, which was going to be the first event at the Rendezvous Center, or at the Alumni Center. The Alumni Center. We were the first big event. And here I am, jacked up. I can't do anything.
Right.
And man, she knocked it out of the park. She had all the vendors lined up. She had the schedule. She had hit up everybody. She had a team of people to help her. So when I talk about leadership as a skill, it is 100% a skill. And when you teach it to your team and you empower your team, amazing things will happen. So that was another thing that kind of lifted my spirits up, was watching my team lead.
Yeah. See the deposits that you've made in their lives, come to fruition.
Yes.
So that's awesome. Okay, so finally, fast forward. I forget how long after the initial injury, but we documented a few of these videos of you progressing, and hopefully I'm able to flash those up here through some of our conversation. But how long? You actually posted a video that said, "Yeah, I guess I'm back." Little play of words with John Wick. series. But when was that? When did you feel like, okay, I think I'm back. I might even be ready to go try snowboarding again?
Yeah, it was probably 2 years after the accident, because I didn't go snowboarding this year because the snow was garbage.
Right.
I went to the hill and I asked Captain Dylan, who was up there with when I got injured. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go snowboarding. You want to go with me?
Yeah.
I was scared.
Sure.
I was nervous.
Uh-huh.
You know, it was a hurdle I needed to get over.
Yeah.
And my leg was feeling pretty good. So I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go up.
Yeah.
And so I had like two dudes fighting in my head. Right? We always have the battle within your head, right?
Yeah.
So I've got Johnny Lawrence from Cobra Kai.
Nice.
Right?
That's a good one.
Oh yeah. Love the 80s.
Yeah.
He's going, Chief.
Who doesn't love the 80s?
Yeah, I mean, there's just great stuff.
Yeah.
Going, Chief, go to the top of the hill, sweep the leg, right? And I'm like, and then I got Jocko on the other side going, Chief, you gotta stay humble, bro. You gotta stay on the Aspen run, stay on the bunny slope. And so they're battling in my head. I'm thinking, I could maybe do one run at the top of the hill. Well, Jocko won, and I stayed on the bunny hill. I did about 12, 13 runs. And each run I progressed going down the steeper part of the hill.
Okay.
The first run was very, very deliberate in my turns, because I bought a new snowboard. I had to because my old one the bottom peeled off. And it was time. It was like 25 years old. So I'm going down. I got a new board, a white space board, and I was turning was a lot easier. And I'm like, okay, I'm building my confidence up. You got getting those little wins. Yeah. And if you get those little wins in life, no matter if you're snowboarding or you're tackling a job or a project, when you start get those, you get those little wins, they add up. So I was getting little wins. And then at the, about run 12, I went, I'm like, hey, my leg's getting pretty tired. It was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I said, this is probably going to be the last run. Yeah. And so I knew my limitations, right?
That's
right.
Key.
Right? Go back to the 80s, man has to know his limitations, right? A little Dirty Harry. Right. So I said, this is the last run. I did the last run, and my leg was tapping out. And I said, yep. Went up, did the last run, went to the lodge, chilled out for a while, went home, and mission success.
Nice. Because so many stories, it was that last run. I get people coming in here, I just wanted to make one more.
Yeah.
And then an ACL reconstruction later, they're in here.
And so that was, when I got hurt, it was like I was going to do that run, and then I was going to go over to Stacy's and do one more run and be done for the day. And when I got hurt, it was about 12:30 on my injury. So it's always, I could do one more. And it's like, and so I overcame that, and then I had another thing I wanted to do, and I was able to growing up in San Diego. I love the ocean. I miss the ocean. Yeah. And I grew up surfing, and so I was able to get back on a surfboard.
Oh, nice.
And I checked those things off my list, and I got surfing checked off. I went to Pismo Beach and rented a board, and was able to get on a board and went surfing, and then I got snowboarding done. Yeah. So I got both of those checked off.
Both demanding on legs. You got any more things that you haven't checked off that list for that leg?
I think I've got everything checked off. I back to box jumping, and yesterday I was doing man makers and running. Yeah. With man makers with overhead lunges, and it's I can feel it. I feel it on the medial side still a little bit. I think the bone's still reconstructing. Yeah. 3 years after now, it's still getting there. So every day is a challenge and a battle.
You can tell when a cold front's coming in.
No, it doesn't react to weather.
Okay, that's good.
It doesn't react to weather.
Sometimes these bone injuries do. So.
But it does react to TSA sometimes when I'm going through the TSA checkpoint.
Yeah. All right, we'll close it out here. Okay, we'll ask about what kind of advice, and then I'll ask about what kind of legacy. Close with that. Okay, so then you've been through this challenging experience coupled with your strong background in leadership. So what advice would you give someone currently going through a difficult recovery?
Faith, family, and friends. You know, that was a big thing. You gotta have faith in something. You know, I'm a Christian. I believe that we go through everything for a reason.
Right. Yeah.
And, there's like the good video. You know, we all have challenges in our life, and we all have to go through things for a certain reason. And I don't know, and I know when I look back at that part of my life, I'll see two sets of footprints in the sand walking, and I'm gonna look back and I'm gonna see one set of footprints, and they're not gonna be mine.
Yeah.
And then have, you know, your family, like I said, how instrumental my family was to be around me and help me out. I mean, my wife was giving me shots for blood clots, you know, and making me food and carrying me up the stairs and helping me clean myself and showering.
That's a task.
And it was a task, driving me around. Family, and then have a good friend system. I mean, you know, I've considered you a friend for a lot of years, and I knew who I needed to call when, friend-wise, I knew my family was going to be there. I knew my faith was going to be there, and I knew my friends were going to be there to help me out. And, you know, like I said, you were one of my first phone calls. Leif Babin, you know, was another one, and he helped coach me through this. I remember being at a muster leadership conference with Jocko, and it was the January after I'd hurt myself, and we're doing early morning PT, 4:30 in the morning PT, doing burpees and jumping jacks, and I'm kind of getting them done, and I remember walking back to the hotel, and it was just me and Jocko. When we were walking back, he puts his arm on my shoulder, and he's like, "Chief, you're gonna get better. You'll beat this." I'm like, hells yes. Yeah. Let's go, right?
Nice.
So having the faith, family, and friends around you, and I would the advice I would give to people is get small wins. Get whatever win that is, whether that's getting up and doing something just a little bit more than you did the day before. And like when I came in here with you, it was like, okay, I can do one more rep.
Yeah.
One more rep on this, or I can bump the weight up 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Or I could do one more exercise. I'm like, hey, Corey, I'm feeling pretty good.
And acknowledge that. I think that's key for us. We always have people like, I don't think I'm getting better. I'm like, look at the stuff that you're doing. And take those small wins into consideration and give yourself some time to celebrate those a little bit.
Yeah, and don't be so hard on yourself, right? We're always like our own worst critics, and we beat ourselves up in our own mind a lot of times, and a lot of those are very difficult to overcome. And you know, and if you don't have that structure around you, like, go to a counselor, talk to someone for your mental health. I didn't need that because I had the other avenues.
Sure.
But it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah. And
it's okay to say, hey, you know, to come to you, like if you have someone in here and say, hey, I'm really struggling with this mentally, and maybe offer them, you know, hey, here's some people you could go to talk to counseling. Like for law enforcement, we have an EAP program, an emotional assistant program, so that helps us out.
Yeah.
And we can go to a counselor and talk to a counselor about some of the traumatic things that we've seen. Right. But sometimes people that are going through things physically, they're going through things mentally too, and they you know, go talk to somebody, whether that's a bishop or a priest or a counselor or a friend or somebody. But talk about it. It's okay. Yeah. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to struggle.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think you come out of that struggle a better person.
100%. Absolutely. Well said. Okay, so one closing question here. So what kind of legacy do you hope to leave both as a police chief and just as a person?
Good leadership outlasts the leader.
Yeah.
So what I want.
Put that on your headstone.
That's not. I didn't come up with that. That's something I learned from Echelon. I stole it from those guys. Right. Good leadership outlasts the leader.
All right. So I just want to let you know we were experiencing some technical difficulties, and so Chief Schei had to step away, and we got this back rolling again. So I just want to really thank him for all the time that he spent over here. That was a great podcast. Really enjoyed it. So I know his time is very valuable. So just a shout out again to him and everything he's done for the community. I hope this podcast was very valuable and some people were able to get some insight from it. Again, if you want to see more of our content, don't forget to like, share, comment, and we'll try to bring some good podcasts similar to this one of people overcoming challenges and the way they did it to you in the future. Thanks again.